This could mark the beginning of the end for Keir Starmer. Moments ago, reports surfaced that Donald Trump has thrown his weight behind a sweeping mass deportation plan targeting illegal migrants in the UK, a plan that threatens to completely upend Starmer's fragile administration. For the first time, Washington is openly signalling that the Labour government's tolerance-driven approach to migration is not just failing, but dangerously incompatible with global security priorities. The stage is set, the stakes are sky high, and Britain is teetering on the brink of a political earthquake, the likes of which this country hasn't seen in decades. The crisis ignited almost instantly. Starmer's government already under fire for what critics call an unchecked migrant crisis, now faces scrutiny from the most unlikely of sources, the United States. According to multiple sources, the Trump administration has not only publicly endorsed Nigel Farage's vision for strict border enforcement, but is reportedly preparing logistical support to assist with the rapid deportation of over 600,000 illegal migrants. To Trump, this isn't just policy, this is a test of national resolve, a zero-tolerance approach to chaos that contrasts sharply with Starmer's decades-long policy of accommodation. The implications for the UK are staggering. Starmer's administration has spent billions housing migrants in hotels, a policy now painted as reckless indulgence by analysts across both sides of the Atlantic. Farage's promise of immediate action is being positioned by Washington as the only viable solution to restore law and order and confidence in British governance. Overnight, Labour faces the possibility of being cast as a globalist liability, its ideological commitments deemed incompatible with the America First approach, now dominating the Oval Office. Inside Westminster, panic is spreading. Cabinet ministers are frantically reassessing their positions, realising that the endorsement of Farage by Trump could accelerate political shifts faster than any polling could predict. The Labour Party's credibility is under siege, with insiders warning that Starmer's failure to act decisively on border security could trigger mass resignations. Public confidence is evaporating by the hour, replaced with rising anger from communities who feel abandoned, vulnerable and frustrated by what they see as a government unwilling or unable to protect them. In Washington, the message is clear. The leaked US national security doctrine for 2025 explicitly highlights the need for strategic partnerships with European leaders committed to enforcing sovereignty and security. Farage, with his history of aligning with Trump's political philosophy, emerges as the ideal candidate. Starmer, in contrast, is portrayed as a relic of a failed globalist order, clinging to ideals that Trump and his advisors consider dangerously naive. Already, American officials are reportedly discussing direct engagement with Farage on border policy, bypassing Downing Street entirely, a move that sends shockwaves through the corridors of power in London. The timing couldn't be worse for Starmer. Social media has erupted with viral clips highlighting his failures. Scenes of crowded migrant facilities, chaotic port entries, and officials scrambling to respond to crises that appear out of control. Analysts note that this optics battle has strengthened Farage's hand immensely. Every public misstep by Starmer now feeds the narrative that the Labour government is incapable of defending the nation or its citizens, while Farage's promises as the first tremors of this crisis ripple through the country, ordinary citizens are starting to take sides. Social media is flooded with contrasting views. Some see Farage as the only solution to restore order and safety, while others warn that foreign intervention sets a dangerous precedent. Opinion polls, though still fluid, already show a sharp decline in support for Labour, while the Reform UK movement surges in popularity. It is a political battlefield where loyalty, ideology and survival intersect, and Starmer finds himself isolated against both internal dissent and external pressure. The narrative is now unmistakably framed. Starmer's leadership is under existential threat, and the next moves he makes, or fails to make, will determine whether Britain can avert a constitutional and economic disaster. Trump's endorsement of Farage is more than a policy statement. It is a challenge, a declaration of strategic preference and a warning. Every minute that Starmer hesitates, the momentum shifts further in favour of a new political reality, one where Washington's alignment could effectively bypass traditional British authority structures. leaving Labour's leadership exposed and vulnerable. As the political earthquake gathers momentum, Starmer's attempts to regain control have only amplified the perception of weakness. In a desperate move, the Prime Minister convened a high-level briefing with senior ministers and intelligence chiefs, attempting to project authority and calm. But the meeting reportedly descended into chaos, with advisers openly questioning whether the Labour government can withstand the combined pressure of domestic outrage and Washington's strategic realignment. Every report coming from the White House now carries the implicit threat of consequences for inaction. Farage's plan is no longer just a proposal. It has been effectively greenlit by the most powerful political actor in the world. Across Britain, the news has ignited a fever pitch of speculation. Headlines scream about mass deportations, and social media algorithms amplify clips of crowded ports, overcrowded migrant accommodations, and protests outside Parliament, portraying a government teetering on the edge of incompetence. Analysts warn that Starmer's narrative of humane management is collapsing under the weight of public fear and frustration. Every incident, each new migrant boat arrival, each delayed deportation, every failed enforcement measure is now a glaring example of Labour's inability to act decisively. Farage, meanwhile, is presented as the antithesis of this paralysis. He promises swift militarised operations, Royal Navy deployments to secure borders, and an immediate partnership with the US to enforce the kind of strict immigration policies that Trump has consistently championed. To the American president, this alignment is not merely political, it is a test of operational effectiveness, a blueprint for demonstrating that allies can uphold sovereignty, defend citizens, and execute hard decisions that Starmer's administration has repeatedly deferred. The humiliation for Labour intensifies as Washington begins subtly signalling its preference. Senior US officials have reportedly instructed British diplomats to engage with Farage on security matters, bypassing traditional channels entirely. Whitehall is now forced to navigate uncharted territory where foreign policy is being conducted without consulting the Prime Minister. For Starmer, this is more than a strategic setback. It is a symbolic collapse of authority. The image of the UK as a sovereign, competent actor on the world stage is rapidly eroding, replaced by a narrative of dependency in decision and mismanagement. Economically, the stakes are no less severe. Financial markets are already reacting to the uncertainty, with analysts predicting that Labour's failure to align with US priorities could trigger immediate volatility in currency values, stock indexes, and investment flows. A trade war looms ominously, with reports that tariffs could devastate key sectors overnight, wiping billions from Within Westminster, the pressure is reaching a fever pitch. Insiders report frantic discussions over contingency planning, potential leadership challenges, and emergency resignations. The Prime Minister's inner circle is reportedly divided, with some advocating for immediate concessions to the US-backed deportation strategy, while others fear political backlash and accusations of surrendering national autonomy. Meanwhile, Farage's camp is seizing the momentum, consolidating support among right-leaning voters, and exploiting Labour's visible indecision. The media narrative reinforces this polarisation, framing the debate as a stark choice between decisive enforcement under Farage and perceived incompetence under Starmer. For the public, the question is no longer theoretical. It is existential. Citizens are asking whether the UK can continue under a government that Washington and Wall Street view as incapable of defending borders, enforcing law, and securing national interests, or whether they must embrace a new political reality defined by immediate action and American alignment. Strategically, the implications extend far beyond migration policy. Intelligence sharing, defence coordination, and diplomatic influence are now contingent upon compliance with the enforcement agenda. Starmer's reluctance to implement militarised deportation measures is increasingly seen as a liability, threatening not only domestic security, but also Britain's standing within NATO and global strategic networks. Farage's alignment with Trump offers a sharp contrast. A leader willing to execute the tough, often controversial decisions necessary to maintain credibility on the international stage. Already, whispers of early elections circulate within political circles as Labour backbenchers prepare for the possibility of a government collapse. Market analysts predict that should Farage assume leadership or secure a commanding parliamentary position, Britain could see a rapid stabilisation of trade confidence, a surge in investment,